morning, just after sunrise, the man suspected of brutally killing 36 women met the long, drawn-out demands of justice.
He didn't look like anybody's notion of somebody who would tear apart young girls.
My name is Ted Bundy.
I've never spoken to anybody about this. I am looking for an opportunity to tell the story as best I can.
A person of this type chooses his victim for a reason. Possession, control.
Ted Bundy's story began like that of any ordinary man, but it spiraled into one of the darkest chapters in American history. Born in Burlington, Vermont, in 1946, Bundy appeared polite, well-mannered, and intelligent. He studied psychology, volunteered at political campaigns, and even worked at a suicide hotline center, where his colleagues described him as kind and empathetic. Yet beneath that charming surface was a heart cold and calculating, driven by obsession and rage. Bundy's crimes began in the early 1970s, though some believe he started much earlier. His victims were mostly young women with long dark hair, students and professionals, who reminded him of the woman who once rejected him. He had a method that was as manipulative as it was deadly. Pretending to be injured, he would approach women with his arm in a sling or leg in a cast, asking for help loading something into his car. The moment they leaned in to help, he would strike them with a crowbar, knock them unconscious, and forced them into his vehicle, his infamous tan Volkswagen Beetle. What followed was horror beyond imagination. Bundy raped, tortured, and murdered his victims, often returning to their bodies days later to commit further acts of necrophilia. He was a meticulous predator, removing evidence, cutting victims' hair, and taking trophies, small reminders of the lives he extinguished. Over the years, his killing spree stretched across Washington, Oregon, Utah, Colorado, and Florida, leaving a trail of broken families and unanswered questions. In 1974, the disappearances became too frequent to ignore. Police began linking the cases through witness reports, describing a handsome man named Ted, who drove a Beetle. Despite the growing suspicion, Bundy stayed a step ahead, moving states, changing appearances, even studying law to better understand the system hunting him. He was arrested in Utah in 1975 after a routine traffic stop revealed burglary tools in his car. Investigators soon discovered hair and fibers linking him to several murders. But Bundy was clever. He represented himself in court and managed to escape custody twice, once by jumping from a courthouse window and later by crawling through a hole in his cell ceiling. During his second escape, he fled to Florida, where his crimes reached their most brutal stage. In January 1978, he broke into the Chi Omega sorority house at Florida State University. Within minutes, he bludgeoned and strangled 2 women to death and severely injured 2 others. Just weeks later, he abducted and murdered 12-year-old Kimberly Leach, his final known victim. Bundy's arrogance led to his downfall. When captured again, he relished the attention of his trial, treating it like a stage. But the evidence was undeniable. Bite marks, fingerprints, and eyewitnesses sealed his fate. He was convicted of multiple murders and sentenced to death.
It is further ordered that on such scheduled date should be put to death by a current of electricity sufficient to cause...
Even on death row, Bundy played games with investigators, confessing to dozens of murders in the final days before his execution. On January 24, 1989, he was executed in Florida's electric chair.
One of the more bizarre chapters in recent American criminal history has come to an end. The end for Ted Bundy, a 42-year-old killer who left a trail of at least 20 murders from one end of the country to the other, came in the electric chair of Florida State Prison, an execution ordered after state and federal appeals were exhausted.
Crowds gathered outside the prison, celebrating as flames reflected off their "Burn Bundy Burn" signs. In death, Ted Bundy became a symbol of the darkness that can hide behind a charming smile. A reminder that evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like the man next door, holding the door open, smiling, pretending to be just like everyone else.